is the time where I just sit back and relax and have fun with you guys. Don't know why I'm still wearing a hoodie, just because that's how I roll, basically. When I'm wherever I want to be, I wear hoodies, and you're just going to have to deal with it. This is a new thing that I'm trying out. I will be doing live streams almost every other day, meaning Tuesdays and Thursdays from the morning, possibly into the evenings, and when I am not with a special someone on weekends as well. If you also something else to check out, twitch.tv/ the lore runner. I will be talking with him, I think 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, just hanging out, having some fun. Also, last but not least, check me out at twitter.tv. Twitter.tv. Wow, it is too early. Twitter.com/lore reloaded. I definitely need to get my numbers up there. Plus, I talk about all kinds of things, including why certain people shouldn't be president. So, the stream is right here, Kevin Persinger. It is right here, good sir. I am doing this for you, Kevin. I knew that you needed the stream to be live, and so I decided to make it live for you. It was all for you. The Queen of the Owl people have arrived. My own personal owl waifu. It is birthday eve. Tomorrow I'll probably be doing Picard and Picard's top 10 waifus, where I will be pointing out it's my birthday, because why not? It's my birthday, and I want to have fun with it. All right, so getting off of fetlife.com and going to the... Where is it? Did I... You got to be kidding me. Oh, there it is. I thought I got rid of the article. I did not. Here's the article. Here we go. All right, so we're going to be talking about a couple of things, enjoying this wonderful morning. One of the things I wanted to get into is I saw something from a website called Bounding Into Comics. I personally haven't ever had any issues with Bounding Into Comics. I find their stuff generally pretty solid, if not a little leaning one way or the other, we'll say. But I know a lot of people don't like them. They did actually point out a article by Vanity Fair that I thought was really interesting, and I kind of wanted to discuss when it comes to this new, a lot of people will call it woke society. And here's my thing. I understand why what's going on, Victor, you never have to wear pants in my presence, dude. That's just the way it is. I understand that when it comes to our current culture, and I can even understand why you'd reasonably want to have more representation in your films, your television, things of that nature. I know a lot of people get upset about it, but if you look and you're reasonable, while there are examples of representation of all stripes, and there are television series and movies that did very well, that had people of color, women, non-white males, effectively is what we're saying, right? I do think that any reasonable person would say it was really prevalent that you saw quote-unquote white males within historically, right? So wanting to have more other types, more diversity, if you will, I'm not necessarily against. However, what I do have an issue with is when you try to either replace that of which you hate, because I don't think that it should go 100% the opposite way. That's not learning the lesson. It's just someone else coming into power. Or you do it just to get brownie points because you think that's what you need to do. So here's one of the things I came along. And again, this is in Vanity Fair. I will share the website right here if you guys want to take a look at it right there. It is called The Star Trek TV Universe is CBS All Access Secret Weapon. Will it keep expanding infinitely? It's by Joy Press, November 29, 2019. I'm only going to read one piece of it, though. Here's the question. Yep, Cat's always here. That's how he rolls. Star Trek Discovery. Okay, in Vanity Fair. Star Trek Discovery, and this is the question. Star Trek Discovery stars a number of women of color. Can you tell me about the conversation behind that? So there's two people answering. There's McNamara and there's Kurtzman. McNamara says, we certainly feel that it's important to reflect the culture on our service. And that's not just altruistic, although it is a good and important thing. It's also good business. You really want to reach people in a way that feels specific in terms of characters and storytelling. For me, first off, I have a couple of issues when it comes to that specifically. Star Trek has not necessarily always reflected the culture. They've, in some instances, been the counterculture. They've always stood up for what's right. They've not really done something that's altruistic. They've not done a good and important thing. They've done, well, let me rephrase. I do think they've done good and important things, but they weren't necessarily altruistic. Uh, Star Trek, the original series, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine, within limits, went against the culture. So to say that you're being culturally relevant isn't to say you're being Star Trek. That's not even what Star Trek has been. Now, it is possible that the culture has finally moved into a place that's better, and so you're reflecting that. But again, that's just... Anyway. Kurtzman. Now, this is Kurtzman's response to that question. About 3 years ago, when CBS asked me to consider doing another Star Trek, my first instinct was, it's got to be a woman, and it's got to be a woman of color. I'm not interested in having another male captain. We made that very clear in a condition of our involvement, and Julie was immediately supportive of it. And one thing I remember very clearly was that we were still casting the morning Trump was elected, and somehow in the casting conversation, this question came up, like, okay, do we have to reconsider this? And we doubled down and said, this is exactly why we have to do this right now. And for me personally, I have a harder time writing men. That's the truth. I don't know why. It's always been the case. That is one of the worst responses on God's green earth that I have ever seen. It is horrific, in my opinion. And we'll break that down. By the way, guys, let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit that like button. 37 people watching, only 8 likes. What's up with that? Also, I am going to be doing this for quite a while, 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. So if you have anything you want to talk about, just let me know. The point of this is to try to give you better products when I do uploaded videos, and to actually have a streaming where you guys can enjoy it. So let's break this down. About 3 years ago, when CBS asked me to consider doing another Star Trek, my first instinct was, it's got to be a woman, and it's got to be a woman of color. I'm not interested in having another male captain. There's a couple of things wrong and right with that, in my opinion. First off, I think the general answer, best person for the job should probably come into play. But even that aside, if you wanted to, there might be more to this, but it doesn't sound like he has a story in his head. It sounds like he wanted a person of color just because he wanted the brownie points for it, or because he is delusional in thinking that is the way it has to be. If you have a story that archetype fits, that you think would be interesting for that, then I don't necessarily have an issue. If you have a story in your mind that you need a woman of color for, then whatever on that the way that's said. But the way it comes out is just ridiculous. I think it's just for progressive brownie points. I wouldn't even call it Hollywood progressive brownie points. And again, you're not interested in having a male captain. Why? Because you don't like male captains? Because you think male captains are overrepresented? What exactly goes in that? So anyway, continuing on, that in and of itself, not world ending, but it's still kind of weird, especially if you don't have a story in your mind. He did. I would agree with Hidden Trail Video. It feels like he started from a place of virtue signaling, and that's not going to do anyone any good. The reason virtue signaling is bad, the reason why it is a crux, is because it demeans everybody. Virtue signaling annoys those who recognize for what it is, and it only props up people and puts them on a pedestal because you want to be recognized for putting them on the pedestal. It is a dog and pony show, is what it is. So, continuing on. We made that very clear in a condition of our involvement, and Julie, I'm assuming a CBS exec, was immediately supportive of it. And one thing I remember very clearly was that we were still casting the morning Trump was elected, and somehow in the casting conversation, this question came up like, okay, do we have to reconsider this? Trump becoming president has nothing to do with who's the captain on a Star Trek show. It's not reflective of anything. In fact, these same people, Kurtzman, I don't know about Kurtzman, but a lot of people who like Kurtzman would say that Trump stole the election because he didn't win the popular vote. Now, it's a straw man, I'll admit, but for those who think that Trump didn't get in and somehow Trump impacts Star Trek, either he got in legitimately and is the president, or he didn't win the popular vote and people don't like him. One or the other. It really doesn't matter. You are not so self-important. Your show is not so self-important that Trump is a reflection on who's going to watch it. In fact, when you take a look at previous Star Trek shows, like Deep Space Nine or Voyager or Enterprise, you can see that people don't have huge issues or can like female captains or females that are in charge, unless you're Nietzschev or whatever the blonde admiral is. So anyway, then they doubled down and said, this is exactly why, and then, this is continuing what they said, and we doubled down and said, this is exactly why we have to do this right now. So again, more virtue signaling. This is just about, again, just brownie points. This is just trying to better, I don't know, just trying to sit there and say, oh, look, we have a person of color. We have we have someone who's in charge. The only thing I think makes the most sense out of any of this is the ending when he says, and for me personally, I have a harder time writing men. That's the truth. I don't know why. It's always been the case. If you have a hard time writing men and it's easier to write women and you want to put a woman in charge and you want to put her in the captain's seat and make her a person of color, that's fine. If that's your writing style, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. But here's the funny thing in all this. Here's what gets me about all of this. Before I get into that, I would agree with Al Weifu. I hate that they brought up Trump. Literally, Trump is Hitler to those people. That's my thing. I think I talked about this last time. This is what upsets me. This right here. This is the crux of everything that's wrong with if you are progressive or liberal and you would agree with everything Kurtzman says right here. Sit down because I'm about to take you to school. Here's the problem. This is the epitome when it comes to that. Trump is, in my opinion, probably the worst case scenario for everybody. He doesn't like freedom of speech. He's okay with putting people in without due process. He wants to put you in jail for burning the flag, which again is showing an expression. He doesn't like when people talk against him. Also, he, on the liberal side, wants to build the wall, has an issue with several different countries that arguably are against or for us, and just a myriad of things. I mean, so many I can't even mention on the liberal side. Whether you are conservative or liberal, Trump should scare the ever-living hell out of you. He absolutely should. But when you do stuff like this, it makes Trump so sympathetic that it's going to get him put back into the White House. People think that their show on CBS is so impacted because Trump got in power. And oh my God, everybody is a misogynist and all the white people are going to kill everybody who's not white. It is absolutely, utterly ridiculous. I agree. This is stupid. All right? And it irks me because I have to sit here and say yeah, I know, buddy. I know. I need to calm down. It irks me because I have to sit here and quasi-defend Trump against this schlock when Trump is the last person anybody should want in office. Anybody, left or right, no good reason. Unless you just want... Okay, I understand. Yeah. All right. So here's why this is an issue for me as well. When they finally put the story together, they said, okay, we want a person of color. We want to make her captain. Uh, and we want to do something spectacular. Then they write the series. And what happens in the series? You have a captain who one of her officers commits mutiny. The first mutiny for Starfleet to apparently ever have had. Then she decides that after war has been... Talk to you later, Kevin. After war has... feel free to unsubscribe if you don't like it. After war has been announced, after they are in war, commits a war crime. So you want to make women... You want to put women up on the top. You want to have women be the pinnacle, and you want to just display them. And then you write them to be people who can't control their own crew, people who are okay with committing war crimes. And then you sit down and you have her be killed and eaten by the enemy. That seems completely counter to what we saw right here. By the way, I think I've said this before. The live streams are going to be whatever we decide to talk about, and I'm just going to be myself. If you don't like that, then this isn't the channel for you. Please, God, get off of it and unsubscribe. I'm more than happy not to have you as a viewer. If you disagree with me and you want to talk about that, or you say you disagree, or you're just like, well, you're stupid on that, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But if you can't deal with it, then just don't watch my stuff. I'm perfectly happy with that. Anyway, this is... Epstein didn't kill himself. That's true. That's my point here, though. All of that aside, this is what's wrong with Discovery. They try to virtue signal, and then they write badly. And then what happens after they put this person of color who does war crimes and such as that? What happens after that? They put 2 white males in charge. Now, one is technically from the Mirror Universe. One is from the Mirror Universe, and the other is the best thing that ever happened to Trek, apparently. And I guess Discovery era Trek. But that's my point. That's why I have an issue with it. You know? Last I checked, we have the Constitution. You can say what you want. Well, within reason. I got in a lot of trouble on Twitter about that recently. I had a really spicy take that people didn't like, on who are right leaning, which I have a lot of right leaning because I guess people think I'm right leaning. But yeah, so I'm interested in what your guys' opinions are on the entire affair. By the way, 60 people watching and only 18 likes. Ah. By the way, did that guy who left, did he at least give me a dislike? Come on, let's see if I got a dislike. Let's look at it, people. Come on, big bucks, no whammies, big bucks, no whammies. Ah, didn't even give me a dislike. Disappointed. All right, Brie Larson, clear down with This Ain't Meant For You. What are you talking about? I ain't Brie Larson. But anyway, what do you guys think when it comes to this? Because that's my problem too. That's one of the things I hate about this quote unquote virtue signaling and requiring women. You put these characters in important roles, and then you write it in a way that is just diminishing of the character. It just makes it look worse. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually like Captain Georgiou generally. I think that there was the actress actually was pretty strong, and I think that there was some general nobility in the short time we had with her. And But again, there are things I have issues with. She is a war criminal. She is. Uh, and I think that Kurtzman did her a disservice. So anyway, I'd be curious. Yeah, if we can, though, to be fair, I don't want to get this into too much politics. That was just my rant for that Trump piece. Let's not go too far in it. There's your like, buddy. It's Millhouse. Keep up the chatter. That's it, Millhouse. Everything is turning out Millhouse. As I told you guys beforehand, this is me doing live stream and doing it. I'm trying to do it a lot of the day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I want to be able to try to connect with you guys and have specific days where we just hang out, you know? So if you want to change the topic, we definitely can. Problem is most writing. If you did virtue signaling and wrote it well, then there wouldn't be as many problems with it. I somewhat agree with it. So here's something. Here's a spicy take that I kind of go on that kind of goes with this, I think. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I actually like Stamets. I think Stamets is a really well done character. I don't know that it's virtue. He's done so well that I don't even know that it's virtue signaling. I do think that they sat down. They said, we want to have a gay character, and what do we want to do with this? Stamets feels real. Stamets has an impact, and him being homosexual is a part of him. It's a defining piece of him, but it's not everything about him. And I really like that, you know? Star Trek has a surprising amount of war criminals. It does, and a lot of the captains are war criminals. How many captains are there? There's Kirk, like that headed a show. You got Kirk, Picard, Sisko, Janeway, Archer, Philippia, arguably Lorca, and Pike. So of them, let's see. I don't think Kirk was ever a war criminal. Picard wasn't. Sisko definitely was. Janeway definitely was. Archer is debatable. Philippia was. Lorca was. Pike not so much. So you have 4 out of what? 8? So 50% of all captains are war criminals? 2 off-top questions. 1, will you do other Star Trek games? I will. 2, what will you do? What'll take for you to do the Typhon command carrier in Star Trek Invasion? Hold on. All right, everybody, keep entertaining. Entertain. Come on, keep them entertained. Are you still entertained? Is everybody entertaining everybody? Oh, I'm surprised you didn't steal my chair. My cat steals my chair. So I did this for you, guys. Every week, I get 2 to 3 requests. So, I am doing this for you. So all of that is coming down the pipe. Yeah, the cat was not doing well at all. So yeah, a lot of Typhon or Typhoon is coming down. I'm not muted. Am I muted? Did the cat mute me? No, I'm not muted. Yeah, he was like, I'm done. Are we not entertained? Let me ask you this, because I sure don't know of any. Do you know of any good Star Trek games for consoles? For the NES, Genesis, we're all terrible. I don't know of any good console games. There might have been. Was Star Trek Commander? Was it Star Trek Commander? What's it called? Star Trek Commander, maybe? The game where you take over. where you are captain. What's the name of it? Star Trek Bridge Commander. Is that on any of the consoles? Because that's good. Cisco saved the Alpha Quadrant. He did. He also committed chemical warfare. He also... See, that's the thing. When I think, what do you think about Stamets' boyfriend, Dr. Culver? That character really isn't fleshed out enough for me and is an idiot. So I don't know too much about him. He's just there. He's a character to romance the main character. Or at least he was. Maybe they're changing that in season 3. Star Trek Armada isn't on console games, I don't think. Star Trek Online is on... Yeah, I wasn't including Star Trek Online. And the reason why I say Culver's an idiot is because he should not have... So you're sitting in front of someone who was modified to look like a human, and you know they're a Klingon. You have no security or anything like that, and you're going to tell them what they are, and you're going to confront them. That is the most dumb thing I've ever heard. Are you going to do Halo lore? I may. It doesn't get a lot of people watching it. I may do Halo lore. I absolutely love the books. I've read almost every Halo book that exists. I am huge on story. I guess, for what I do. I love stories and just everything about them. And if it's really good writing, oh man. I really... I can really get into it. I think it's as good as the game. Do you think Discovery did rip off the tardigrades? No, I don't. And I get a lot of hell from that. I would suggest going and taking a look, and I've done actual live streams on this. I would. So here's the 2 people I would say listen to. I would say go and watch Ketwalski, all of Ketwalski's videos on the tardigrade and on the lawsuit. And I would also say listen to Nerdrotic's stuff. That would be 2 drastically different opinions. Personally, now I got to put this out here. I have a podcast with Ketwalski. I also have him invited to my Star Trek Adventures lore, which I do every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all should come hang out. But with Nerdrotic, I am, as far as I know, me and Nerdrotic are still good. We talked a long time ago. We still follow each other. I still watch his stuff. I don't think he watches mine. So I'm putting that out there. But personally, I think Ketwalski makes a better argument. I just don't think that's true. I simply don't. I don't think it was stolen. That's just me. Halo lore has other good YouTube creators covering it. Don't beat yourself up over it, says Andre. Yeah, I mean, I might do it. It's just, people don't watch it, And this entire concept of a channel is about having a conversation. So if it doesn't inspire people, I'm less likely to do it. Rock Solid says Bridge Commander was Windows-based, looking more retro cartridge-based consoles. I just saw Anti-Trekker, Star Trek TNG for the Genesis, struggling to think of decent game. Anti-Trekker does Star Trek The Next Generation for the Genesis. I didn't like that game. I don't like many of the other consoles, so I really can't help you out there. If anybody has a good console game, there was a Genesis DS9 game that I absolutely loathed. I could not stand. I actually like the fact that Cisco did, getting back to the actual topic, I actually like the fact that Cisco did commit war crimes. The reason is why is because I think it makes the Dominion War way more interesting and it makes Cisco a better character. So let's get on to that for a second and discuss it. Hold on, atrocities done by Trek captains. My problem here is that I actually don't have as many issues with what's done in the Dominion War. I'm more pragmatic when it comes to that. I think that if you're going to have war, there should be rules and limitations. However, you got to do what you got to do as well. And so in war, things like in the Pale Moonlight or other things that they've done are generally unfortunately, requirements of the business that you're in, which is why which is why war should be horrible and people shouldn't do war. When I talk about him being a war criminal, and that may be a misnomer, when I'm talking about war criminal, I mean when he poisoned a planet to get one man. I mean things like that. Sorry, I'm trying to read this and have a conversation with you guys. I gotta get better at this. I gotta do better. 60 people watching, only 30 likes. Hit that like button. I sent Anti-Tracker's son a Genesis and some games for some super chat animation he did for me. Oh, that's cool. Victor Snyder helping out the channel. One of the reasons I'm doing this, guys, is because I want to have conversations with you, but I do have to break even. Victor helping out the channel. I want Data's cat Spot to be Star Trek captain. I think he'd be a better captain than some we've had. The captain in Voyager that tortured animals. Yeah, aliens. I don't know if that's a war crime. Maybe war crime is the wrong word. But something akin to that. I think that Janeway committed some crimes as well. And you guys are gonna push me on that. Off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to give you a specific one, but I promise you if I looked into it, I feel like she's done quite a few questionable things and things that hurt people. Another instance, though, and this isn't a war crime, but something that I would think I can understand and you can justify, even if in a dark sense, when Archer was in the Expanse and he took whatever was required to do warp drive from a friendly alien species. I think that's just one of the unfortunate ways of doing business well, I guess they were in a war at that point. They just went after a neutral party, So I think that Janeway committed a war crime via existing. She did. I don't know that's a war crime, but I will stand by the fact that she destroyed children. When she went back in time, she erased children. Captain Spot and his first mate Porthos. Yes. Is Star Trek Voyager Elite Forces on the console? If you can find Star Trek Voyager Elite Forces on a console, then I would get it. Yeah, that's a good game. That's a solid game. Elite Forces 2 was pretty good too. I'm sure Janeway went back to fix the war crime. She loved time travel. She couldn't go back. She was what's going on, Kay Garogers, by the way. She couldn't go back. She's the one that did it. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, I make a joke. I call her the greatest villain that Star Trek ever had. And I joke with that. But generally, I do think, I 100% believe that her going back in time after she was an admiral to save 2 or a dozen people at best and destroy entire lives and make sure children never exist. Yeah, that's a villain move. A huge villain move. All right, RGD. We have a new contender who has come into the fray, who has come to defend Captain Philippa Georgiou. Philippa is not a criminal. For God's sakes, what's with the hate discovery? Philippa's trying to not get into a war. RGD, I feel so bad for you, sir. I'm about to let's look this up together. Is putting bombs in the corpse of your enemy considered a war crime? Enter. List of war crimes. Let's see. Now these are just specific. Is it a war? No, we already done that. Is playing dead a war crime? I don't think so. Is it a war crime to shoot a man? Is it punishment? Let's see. Bombs in corpses. War crime. Why, look-a here, RGD. It would seem, according to the United Nations, if you take a bomb and you put it inside of one of the dead enemies, one of the soldiers, and you know they're going to collect the dead, and that explodes, that is in fact a war crime. Who knew? Now, boys and girls, welcome to class. Please sit down. No, we're not talking about Mary Georgiou. Absolutely not, Kagojers. This was prime timeline Georgiou. This was prime timeline Georgiou. All right? This is not her alter ego. Now let's sit down in class. Get out a pen and paper, folks. What character in Star Trek Discovery in the second episode strapped a bomb to a body, a dead soldier, because they knew that this body was going to be taken because they collect their dead as a part of their spiritual religion? Which character smiled about it? I'll give 10 seconds for you guys to tell me. Well, it's going to take 10 seconds for this to get you. I'll give you 20 seconds for you guys to tell me who did that. Season 1 Discovery, Episode 2, smiled about it. That's right, folks. Philippa Georgiou. Sigma 74205. It may have been Burnham's idea, but Georgiou was the one that had the last call. She's the one that did the command. I don't know if Burnham came up with it or not. She may have. But wasn't Burnham outside? I don't know. We'd have to rewatch it. I thought they were doing something else. The woman. Y'all are horrible. Yeah, prime timeline, Philippa Georgiou committed an act of war that we would assume the Nazis would have done. Yeah, Kagorgers, it did. That's my thing. That's one of the reasons I had issues with Kurtzman's him saying I wanted to put a woman up front and a woman of color up front. You didn't do him any favors. But I will say this. Outside of that, talk to you later, Al Weifu. I'll say this. Outside of some of that questionable stuff, I actually liked the character Philippa Georgiou. I think and it may have just been the actress versus the writing, because I think she did have a strong presence. RGD, oh please, you're trolling me, dude. There's no way. Oh please, Georgiou just put a bomb in a corpse and used someone's religion against him. I mean, oh god, oh please. Okay, RGD is messing with me. I got it. You won, sir. Dragoon, thank you for remembering to like. That's what makes not all heroes wear capes. Good friends. But here's the thing though. You say the hate on Discovery, RGD, and I don't know if you're messing with me or not, but I would challenge you to go take a look when I've talked about things that Cisco has done, and look how passionate I get about that. I have went off on Cisco, I've went off on Archer, I've went off on Janeway. Just because of the things that they've done and that I completely disagree with. So you say it's all this focused hate on Star Trek Discovery. No, it's me passionate about characters that act opposite of what the story tells us they're supposed to be and what Starfleet is supposed to stand for. I honestly don't. One of the things I think a lot of people will. Where was I going with that? One of the things I disagree with a lot of people, I guess, is what Starfleet is supposed to be versus what's pragmatic for it. For instance, I think that a lot of things that Cisco did was probably pragmatically the right thing to do, or something that was reasonable. Not the bombing of an entire planet. Not that. He should be in jail for the rest of his life for that. But some of the other things that was done was pragmatic. But it's not the Starfleet way. And I guess maybe that comes back to what I grew up with. Janeway, are we the baddies? That's awesome. I love that. Um, we need to meme that. We need to have Janeway put meme a hat or Photoshop a hat onto her saying, "Are we the baddies?" That'd be awesome. But anyway, so maybe it was how I grew up, the nostalgia. I grew up in the TNG era. I grew up with Picard talking about how Starfleet is above, how we've evolved humans, how it's just the best possible that you could be. That's what I grew up with. That's what Starfleet was instilled in me. It was the best scenario humanity could ever have. And so when I see Starfleet, and then of course as I grown up as a person, as an actual human in the real world, the IRL, I'm more a pragmatic. Sometimes things happen. It's not good, but sometimes it's a requirement. Um, as an example, during World War II, the Allies, when they couldn't destroy a Nazi base, they would destroy all the cities around the Nazi base and starve them out. That's not good. I don't like that. I think there is probably inherent evil in that, but it might have been something you had to do if you wanted to stop the Nazi war machine. That's the real world. So when I see Starfleet officers being more realistic, I can sometimes have issues with that because that's not what Starfleet was instilled in me to be. A lot of people will disagree with that, and that's fine. Again, a part of this is just disagreeing and having a conversation, you know? Um, do I think the Halo's Covenant could defeat the United Federation of Planets? I hate comparing different universes because of the way the technology, we don't know how the technology would work. I don't think so. I think transporters in the way Starfleet uses them, as well as warp drive and things like that, probably give an advantage. But I don't know. Uh, what is your take on the Federation does nothing wrong other than all the stuff they do wrong? That is true. What is your take on Mir Georgiou's remote control bomb, which turned into a stalemate within the Klingon Empire? I go back and forth when it comes to that. I don't think it was written well, but it could work. I don't like the fact that Georgiou instantly turned it over. I think that I just don't know that it was written all that well. I also am not sure. It really shows the Klingons to be excessively weak, like extremely weak. Klingons are about honor and about dying for the greater good and everything, and they're blackmailed into coming to heal. Now, maybe there's a sub story there, maybe there's a nuance there that you could take from it, but I don't think that would be the intention of what the writers were going for. Talking war rules, any thoughts on justification of the morpho virus, like a Hiroshima Operation Downfall problem? Always wanted to hear your thoughts. Operation Downfall. What is Operation? Make sure I know what we're talking about. Oh, it was the proposed Allied plan for the invasion of Japanese. So, talking about the war rules, any thoughts on justification of the morphogenic virus, like a Hiroshima, versus downfall problem? So, you're talking about using the morphogenic virus versus them having to invade Cardassia, or into the Gamma Quadrant even. Yes, I am going to cover Countdown to Star Trek. That'll be next week. See, this goes back to my original problem. The morphogenic virus. I'm not a huge fan of chemical warfare because I think that goes both ways and that it's going to get everybody killed. So I don't like chemical warfare. The fact chemical warfare isn't used to large degrees in Star Trek is amazing to me. Utilizing the problem with the morphogenic virus, the problem with killing off the founders is that you don't remove the war machine or threat. And it's possible to escalate, albeit temporarily, the violence and possibly cause more harm than good. And this ironically, I think you can kind of pull from World of Warcraft to a degree. Not a huge World of Warcraft player, so if I get this wrong, then let me know. But my understanding of one of the reasons the Scourge, the actual thing Arthas was in control of, and just wiped out most of the planet with. The Scourge has to have someone in power to keep them under control. If you destroy the head, the Scourge would just almost devour everything without someone in control. The Zerg are the exact same way. The Zerg generally need some kind of hive mind to keep them under control, to keep them from going too far. And so I kind of look at the Jem'Hadar like that, in that if they don't have a leash, it could be far more devastating than if they do. I know there's some argument that way, but I think that probably you run a lot in specific to Star Trek, because it's not the same as Operation Downfall or in the real world. You run a bigger chance of civilians getting hurt if you destroy the if you kill off the founders. Don't let it. You should quit your work and just focus on my channel specifically. That's all you should do. Are you going to cover... Oh, I already talked about that. What's wrong about that? So walk me through if I'm wrong. Was the morphogenic virus the only way to attack changelings en masse? I think an army of changelings would be unstoppable. Yeah, see, that's one of the other things. They didn't really... The changelings were a threat, but they never really utilized their abilities to the extent that they could have. They really, really had an opportunity to take it to the next level, and they chose not to. You know? See, I disagree, Sci-Fi Nation. Cut the head off a snake and it dies. Dominion fall into chaos. The Jem'Hadar, while they are chained by the founders, aren't stupid enough to start attacking each other. They would just want to go after those who destroyed their gods. They would want to destroy everything Federation. So I don't know that I agree with that. Well, great. To the basement to find my copy of Brood War, says Dragoon. I love StarCraft. I think that's one of the best games that was ever created. If you kill off the founders, the Fortuneer and the Jem'Hadar, the Vorta, I think, and the Jem'Hadar don't stop following them. They just become immortal gods in a religion that is set up now for people to interpret the will of their God. See, that's possible too. I didn't even consider that, but that is possible as well. I think that they could have been deified. That's season 8, by the way. Season 8 of Deep Space Nine, according to Ira, he wanted to have a contingent of Jem'Hadar religiously dedicated to the prophets and willing to do anything the Bajorans asked them to do. So it is possible that leadership could have went to the Vorta, but Jem'Hadar and Vorta never liked each other. Not really. So I think the Vorta would have probably been destroyed. Your thoughts on the Odyssey class becoming canon? I don't, here's my thing. A lot of people get upset or try to get frustrated that they're bringing Star Trek Online into canon. I think that if it's a good story and the canon makes sense, hell yeah, bring Star Trek Online into it. Why not? Not only is it good for the universe when you bring good elements, but people who play Star Trek Online will be more enthused, be more jazzed about it. And you may even get people to play Star Trek Online. There are some things in Star Trek Online I have an issue with. But if they take the good elements of Star Trek Online and they bring it into canon, why not? Why not use a lot of Star Trek Online? I am a fan of that. I think that they should definitely have a lot of them, just bring all of it over, as long as it's good. I don't want dinosaurs with lasers strapped to their heads, as we saw Star Trek Online has. But I do think that there is. And Victor Snyder, I will open a Circle K, and you will be in charge of the coffee. The Vorta would take charge and fight each other, much like the Goa'uld did. I don't think that happened. Again, the Vorta only have control of the Jem'Hadar because the founders told the Jem'Hadar. Only Discovery is the true canon. That's true. You guys should clip that. Only Discovery is true canon. Anything that happened before, it's just not canon. This overwrites it. Discovery overwrites it, for sure. That's just fact, people. That's just fact. By the way, 60 people watching, 45 likes. For those who are watching and don't know what's going on, I am attempting to do live streams every other day, at least Tuesdays and Thursdays, probably Saturdays when Cindercat won't let me devote all my attention to her. And again, it's a way of just being able to interact with you guys, but I have to break even. So I'm hoping that because I'm doing every other day, I can work more on the other videos. The videos are better, and I can just at least break even when it comes to the days I'm doing this. So hopefully it'll go well. Can we get some freaking sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads if we can get dinosaurs? Yes, I think we should have all of that. If they're going to do one, they should do all. To be fair, Star Trek Online did the best out of the Hobus Romulus destruction mess possible, in my opinion, at least. Yeah, a lot of people think it came from Star Trek Online. It didn't. The Hobus event has always been canon. People get really upset about that, but it was in the Prime universe. It was always and always has happened. That would be a huge continuity gaffe if they didn't go with the Hobus event. The founders were intrinsic to Dominion culture, though. It would seem more likely the Vorta would emulate the fall of the Empire from Star Wars, with Moffs trying to maintain control. My problem with that is, again, and I've said this 1,000 times, and you guys haven't given me a counter. If you can give me a counter, maybe. The Jem'Hadar hate the Vorta. The Jem'Hadar aren't against killing the Vorta. They don't get along, like, at all. So why would the Jem'Hadar listen? Now, R. McDudd comes up with something as soon as I say it. They say the Vorta control the White after the founders die. That could be a problem for the Jem'Hadar. Yeah, but why wouldn't they just kill the Vorta and make their own White? The only thing is the Vorta are scientists, but then they could just enslave the Vorta. I just don't see why the Jem'Hadar would follow the Vorta without their gods telling them to. Easy there. In Canada, we drink coffee made by mediocre hockey players named Tim Horton. Canada's a real place? Where is it? I mean, I know there's, I know the country above us is basically the little United States. You guys do whatever we tell you to. Canada is one of the most well-loved protectorates of the United States. In fact, we keep you safe and everything. When you hid behind us in World War II and we did all the heavy lifting, we were happy to do it. I really wish CBS sees the reaction to The Mandalorian and goes with an uncompromising, fan-friendly series. I don't know. I haven't watched The Mandalorian yet, I'll be honest with you. I've had so much other stuff. I'm probably going to watch it with Cindercat, but I have not watched it yet. By the way, if anyone who is Canada is a lie made up by Big Water. That's true. Big Water and Big Syrup. For those who don't know, if you're Canadian, I probably just pissed you off. Canadians actually gave a significant amount to World War II. They helped out quite a bit. Broken Eyes, how much do you need to break even on the streams? Asked Broken Eyes, helping out by supporting the channel. So right now I'm still trying to figure it out because I don't generally like talking. I mean, I don't mind being transparent, but I don't generally like talking finances because I figure if I entertain you guys enough, it'll all work out in the wash. Generally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'd upload a video and that would net a significant amount for me to continue doing this. And it's a lot more complicated than it looks because it's not just people watching the video and getting the AdSense. It might get someone's attention. They not like the video I upload, but look at another video. So again, it can be, and again, I'm still trying to look at the significance. My goal for right now, I actually put the goal below me. That would be the safe harbor. My goal is to do about half that, maybe, if I can, and hopefully that'll come out in the wash. I honestly don't know. That's just me being honest with you. I'm trying to figure it out. I'll know in about 2 weeks when I look at the finances. I'll be able to see the history in 2 weeks, and then I can definitively say. I guess we'll see. The money, again, I don't know. It's horrible. I just handled that horrifically. I'm bad about this. Come on, Lore Reloaded. Let's be nice to Canada, or they will be mean to the USA. I'd hate for Canada to be mean to the USA. I mean, oh my God, what would happen? Hey, big maple syrup is a crazy industry if you look into it, or the great maple syrup pies. Interesting fact, a lot of people don't know about Canada. My last boss, before I started my own business and became an entertainer, was Canadian. And she talked to me about stuff in Canada. Apparently, Canada literally has like a maple reserve, like the U.S. has a gas reserve. They hold maple syrup and impact the economy that way. Maybe she was messing with me, but I had heard that, and that's crazy if that's true. Jem'Hadar are warriors. They are reliant on the Vorta and Founders for direction. If Founders disappear for no reason, Jem'Hadar enslave in Vorta as they would kill rather than build. If Founders disappear, no reason. Yeah, I disagree. Jem'Hadar are a lot smarter than that. They are they can be attack dogs, but they also show amazing intelligence. There's quite a few episodes. The ship first just comes off the top of my head, but there's quite a few episodes. So I don't think they're as idiotic as people give them credit for. Jem'Hadar are warriors. They are reliant on the Vorta and Founders for direction. I already read that one. The wall is on the wrong war. That's right. We're putting the wall on the wrong war. Series 2, Season 2, I'm guessing you're saying. Episode 28, Jem'Hadar showed that even in isolation of Jem'Hadar grows up with a soul fixation on combat. I mean, that's fine, but again, we see the ship. We see the rebel Jem'Hadar who steal parts and are trying to control a gate. We see the one Jem'Hadar who was free of the reliance on the white, trying to bring all of his people together and acting as a warrior, a soldier, someone who's wise. I'm not saying it's not a warrior culture, that it's not a warrior race. What I am saying is that it is they're not going to instantly start killing each other. It's not going to be a genocide. I just disagree with that. I don't think there's really any evidence of that. Shako when the walls fell. Natural gas is a necessity. Maple syrup is a luxury, not impacting the right sector. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is they use maple syrup like we use not natural gas, the actual gas reserves, the petroleum reserves. It'd be an interesting aspect to explore. What would Jem'Hadar do on their own without Founders or Vorta? What I think would happen, it depends on how the Founders and Vorta died. If it was found out that they were killed by the Federation, I do think the Jem'Hadar would go into a craze and try to kill everything Federation. Civilians, soldiers, wouldn't matter. If they died off, they just happened to die off. I think there would be some turmoil and a breaking of the Dominion. I think they would faction off, but I just don't think they'd kill everybody, you know? And it's real. Used to keep a steady price of the commodity. It's a series of warehouses, not a massive maple syrup like we all dream of taking a swim in. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it sounded legit. The way she described to me, it did sound legit. I think if the Founders died and Jem'Hadar would kill the Vorta without thinking long term, start to realize their mistakes after, since none of them are versed in sciences or manufacturing. If that happened, if they killed off all the Vorta, then they needed scientists or whatnot, they would probably enslave races. I think that would happen. I think Canadians run on syrup, so it's the same as gas. Well, yeah, I mean, it would if it's the basis of your economy, it's just as important as petroleum. Why wouldn't you want to control that market? Yeah. Plus, I mean, you're too busy, not being allowed your basic rights. So, why wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't you? It's the opium of the masses. Maple syrup is the opium of the Canadian masses. It's why you don't have your freedom of speech or ability to carry firearms and stuff like that. And you guys are the ones who have Jessica Yaniv or whatever her name is. So thank you for that. That's a wonderful individual. The Founders' commands are eternal. Yeah, the only other thing that could do, I just don't think the Founders would care enough because the Founders are very conceited. But if the Founders, Like, share, donate, show, or make love to lore. There is one person watching that last one needs to occur. What was I saying though? The founders could be like, be good or continue on or don't hurt people, make a nation, and the Jem'Hadar would listen. I just don't think the founders would do that. The founders don't care. They truly are just almost completely evil. By the way, thank you so much for the support, Yosef. I appreciate it. Wonder if we Germans have a beer reserve. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I mean, you guys are too busy taking over Europe right now, though, right? You guys are controlling Europe through the EU, so you're busy ensuring the 1940s happen all over again. So, I mean, there's that. I think there is a massive difference between being able to fight intelligently and having higher aspirations versus being able to manage an empire. Jem'Hadar don't have management skills. Maybe not. I just don't think that they would destroy each other. Is it possible that they don't have management skills? I mean, I think Christian, that you have a good point there. Um, that's something fair to think about. It would be intriguing because then they may have to be like the Borg and find something to show them or bring discipline to it if that's the case. I don't know. Canadians will be first to make Warp 5 with their Maple anti-Maple reaction drive. That'd be awesome. Tapo Tulpo. The Germans might not like that. If the Germans, they don't like pointing it out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, in the 1940s, there was this dude that hated being pointed out when he was doing something evil, too. I get it. History repeats itself. I understand. If the founders died and the Vorta and Jem'Hadar were left to care for each other, would the Dominion become a real religion? I think that that's a interesting and good hypothesis. I don't know who said it before, but I do think that if they survived, that it would turn into a religion. It just would be an actual, like, true religion where it started moving into mythos and into ceremony. I think that'll come up. Man, I wish CRR was here. CRR is actually, I know I have some people who are from Germany now, and I know most watchers know I'm joking with them. I like to give CRR a hard time too. CRR and his buddies are in the military. I like messing with them. But for those who are new or don't understand my humor, while I do think Germans' socioeconomic power over the EU is startling and concerning, I actually don't think that. I don't necessarily have a horrible issue. I'm mixed when it comes to the EU itself, but I don't think Germany's taken over anything. I do think that they are the most powerful nation. Question: Measure of a Man or Drumhead? I like Drumhead more than Measure of a Man. Measure of a Man, I think, had some flaws that if you aren't you can enjoy the story and just ignore them and it'd be okay. But if you really analyze it too far, it just all falls apart. Well, and I make fun of everybody, Leo. I make fun of myself as well. My kitten licked the screen and almost put someone in timeout. Aw. Correct me, but isn't there canon examples of Jem'Hadar killing Vorta? There are canon examples of Jem'Hadar killing Vorta. I think it's happened at least once, maybe multiple. CP Lassen, the worst atrocities involves a lack of Philly cheesesteaks. That is true. Let's see if we can get that happening. Hold on. Let's see if we can make that happen. Wait for it. Hold on, guys.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live right now, just so you know. I'm not joking about that. Can you bring me a Philly cheesesteak?
Well, I suppose.
What'd you just say?
I said I suppose.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll see you in about 30.
Okay.
See you then. She's not bringing a Philly cheesesteak. She's more than 30 ways away. But I want a Philly cheesesteak. Mike, Pike or Lorca as better captain? Was Ash Tyler a wasted character? Lorca pre what they did to him in the Mirror Universe, I think, was a very intriguing captain. Lorca pre Mirror Universe was honestly a Kirk meets Cisco, or maybe a Kirk meets Picard. Yeah, Mac, she's not going to bring me one. She's too far away. But, it'd be nice if she did. Uh, can I get a Philly cheese? I can call back and ask for you, Val Mike. See if they'll bring one. See if she'll bring one. But what was I saying? I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about. The difference between the American dream and the German dream. Nobody liked the German. Oh, that's horrible, Teppo. The founders are more than capable of going out in a blaze of vindictive glory. The female changeling said it herself, a victory more bitter than defeat. Yeah, JPRG fan, that's my problem when it comes to a state without the founders. The founders would have to die off pretty quickly because I could see them just going crazy and running their creations into the dirt, which is it's just frustrating, because they don't care about anything. I wonder, it makes you wonder, is there a time that the founders were the good guys? Do you think maybe the Changeling Solid War that I've kind of talked about, did that turn them into what they are? Did they ever really care about anything that wasn't them? And that's assuming we even believe them. It's possible that there was no fight between the changelings and the solids. The changelings just were inherently evil and wanted to take over everything. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation to have. Cheesesteak delivery is a humanitarian rescue mission. Would the Borg assimilate Philly cheesesteaks? No, I think Philly cheesesteaks would actually stop the Borg. They would understand that there's more to life than the perfection they want. We probably have the same chance of getting a Philly cheesesteak as you do at this point. That's probably. I don't think that she can make it in 30 minutes. So, but I'll bet you money that if I see her tonight or when I see her tomorrow, it'll involve a Philly cheesesteak, just because she has a wonderful sense of humor. If the Borg did assimilate a Philly cheesesteak, would it regenerate after you ate much of it, so you'd never have a never-ending Philly cheese? That's what they need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to create Borg technology and infect a Philly cheesesteak so the Philly cheesesteak never ends. I mean, this is how you bring world peace, people. No one is evil. You evolve into evil. Not in Star Trek. Unfortunately, Star Trek people wear hats. I would agree generally that there is an evolution to it, but I don't know. Do you think there will ever be the Orville lore series on YouTube? I have an Orville lore series. I have a couple of videos that I've done on the Orville. I don't have a complete set, but I guess maybe I should get into that. Odo's behavior indicates it's possible for changelings to be good to other races. That's fair, I guess. But he didn't grow... Well, Okay, CP Lassen, you convinced me. That makes sense. That Dominion win against the Covenant. Welcome to, what, an hour and a half back? War Games. We appreciate you being here. An intimate Philly cheesesteak. I have to be more vegetarian than I like. So, alas. As a Philly kid, it's very important to me to point out that cheesesteaks are perfection. They are. I always felt like the female changeling actually did like Wayoon. So maybe changelings can truly... I don't know. Did she like... in her own way. I don't think it's what we would consider to be actual... like what we would consider to be someone who likes someone or an actual relationship, but maybe in her own way. I think she liked Wayoon. I guess she liked using him, and she gave him compliments that just he loved to no end. So I think the founder's inclination towards authoritarianism would grate on the nerves of friendly races over time. Probably, which is why the friendly races became a part of them. Lies, very few people in Star Trek wear hats. Lies? Lies. Very few people in Star Trek wear hats unless you have an NX-01 old style sports. I get the joke, Dragon. I get what you're doing there. Are people with a genetic disorder that causes their evil behavior responsible for their evilness, or a victim of the genetic disorder that is causing the evil? Jeff Franklin, why the hell are we getting into that? This goes into crime overall. I think people who you can prove have a predisposition towards crime, or have some kind of sickness or ailment towards crime, it should be treated that way. I actually believe that prisons should be rehabilitation centers, not necessarily places to uh, push vengeance. But that's completely off topic. If you can definitively, if someone definitively has something broken in them that you can prove, regardless of the crime, it should be treated as a sickness and treated that way. Could the Dominion give the Republic from Star Wars a bloody nose? The Dominion would annihilate the Republic, hands down. Did we find out the name of the Never? Yeah, I don't know who the minor character was who played Wayoon. I've never even looked up. Wasn't really wasn't really something I looked into. Speaking back to Wayoon and the female changeling, it was a master and a pet relationship, something I understand deeply. But yeah, I would say that I don't. Was it a master and pet relationship? Yeah, in a bad way, I'd say. Yeah, definitely. Could the I'm vegan too, except for burgers, hot dogs, beef tacos, pepperoni pizza, bacon steak. Yeah, I mean, look, animals are delicious. I love animals. Just are one of the most delicious things on this earth is taking an animal, cooking it, and then eating it. It's fantastic. It's just because of certain elements I have, I can't do it as much. Could the Dominion, we already talked about. In my opinion, the female changeling mourned Wayoon because she liked how Odo likes Quark. I don't think it's that strong, but I do think that she liked Wayoon. I really do. Oh, I just got a message. You realize it's 9:42 and no one is open with cheesesteaks yet. That is untrue. Hold on, let me correct this. 1 second. 1 second. Hey, still live. That is absolutely untrue, in fact. You can go to Sonic and get a Philly cheesesteak there. They even have the foot-long ones.
Oh my gosh, that does not count as a Philly cheesesteak.
That does count as a Philly cheesesteak. Madam,
No,
yeah, madam, it does. And it's delicious Philly cheesesteak. So, anyway.
Just not 9:42.
Yeah, so when you get, well, you can either do that or you can break into a shop for me. Just whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's totally doable.
See, I knew you'd do it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later, cutie.
All right.
Bye. I don't think she's going to Sonic for me. Eternal question of nature versus nurture, but if someone's genetically evil, it should be treated as any other illness. I would agree, Yosef. I think we should not go vegan, but invest in science to grow meat instead. We are close. I don't know how close we are to that. If we could grow meat, as you say, versus killing animals, I would be all for that. I know I made the joke that animals are delicious, but if we could stop animal suffering in that way, I would definitely go for that. If vegans are right and veggies are so good, then why the heck do they keep trying to make them taste like beef? Exactly. It's a bad plan to tell a woman she's wrong. You're right. Maybe that explains my my dating life. Dominion science and technology versus anything from Star Wars universe would be the current U.S. Army going against a single guy with a sling and some. That is absolute, and that's my point, Teppo. So when you bring up like the Federation versus the Empire, or the Federation versus or the Dominion versus the Republic, it really is just ridiculous, because you have transporters. You can take a photon torpedo or a quantum torpedo and hit something that is like this big. We see that in TOS, that that's how accurate you can be with the technology. Yes, Jeff Franklin. Jeff Franklin says the actor at Lore Reloaded, the actor that played Wayoon. Come on, are you serious that you don't know who that is? Yes, Jeff. I'm absolutely serious, Jeff. That I have no idea, Jeff, who the actor who plays Wayoon, Jeff. I've studied Star Trek. I have literally studied it. I could write dissertations on every series in Star Trek. But Jeff, I have no idea who Wayoon is, and I really think it's a small character, Jeff, and that nobody likes them, Jeff, and that I honestly have no idea. Mr. Franklin, who that is at all. Did you ever figure out if they're vegan in the TNG era onward? I think we've discussed this. Most resources, everything we shows, seems to indicate that they are in fact vegan, that they don't eat meat. But there is exceptions. That's from TNG onward. There are exceptions such as Cisco and O'Brien and Jake. You do have little outlets. So people aren't judged for eating meat necessarily. It's just generally they don't. It's all, I guess we'd go vegan, I guess is how you'd say it. Should Federation build a planet-killing super weapon just to stop guys like the Romulans and Cardassians trying to harm Federation people? Should they versus is it in continuity for them? Wargamers, I have like 6 to 20 videos on Star Wars Clone Wars, but I wouldn't mind doing more. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if the Federation should build a planet-killing super weapon, because that makes you know better, and if someone gets a hold of it, I don't know. Star Trek Online would disagree with you. You fire a volley of torpedoes at a long starship and half of them go whizzing off into space, never to be seen again. Well, they'd be wrong on that. Laura is 100% serious about not knowing one of the biggest in-jokes in all of Trek. That is true. I am. If almost everything is replicated, are they really eating meat? Yeah, well, that's a part of it. They also are specifically vegan, especially in TNG. We see it a little bit in DS9. Voyager as well. Voyager for sure. Voyager had some very preachy episodes. They eat vegan. They eat replicated stuff, but they don't eat actual animals. It's something they're not used to. Again, it seems like most in Starfleet are put off by the thought of eating meat, but they don't judge people who do. My phone thought I would care anything about Brett Bart. I don't even know. Yuck. Riker cooked eggs for the senior staff. I'd have to look at that. But generally, there are multiple episodes. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, but there are multiple episodes where even Riker has a disdain for eating meat or eating anything from an animal. Yeah. So you don't know who played Weyoun, Brunt, and Shran, 3 truly iconic Star Trek characters, not to mention other characters. Why are you mentioning 3 different actors? I mean, all 3 of them little known, but wait a second, Jeff. Hold on. Everybody stop commenting. Jeff, I want to ask you something. Was DS9 actually on TV? Are you saying this was actually a TV series? Hold on. Jesus Christ. So Weyoun, Cisco, and all them, they actually were on TV? Next thing you're going to be telling me is that The Next Generation had movies. Jeff, stop trolling, dude. Just stop. You can't judge people for eating meat when you work with someone like Klingons who eat some of their food alive. That's true. Well, I think it goes back to being open and understanding. I think that's one of the things where they were trying to tell you that you shouldn't eat animals, but they're open to people who do eat animals, I think. Cisco's dad was a Cajun chef with a restaurant. That tells me that there's a decent population of meat eaters on Earth still. I talked about that. You may have missed it, Broken Eyes, if you came back. It shows that there's a niche for it. And we don't know if he bought his or they were all replicated. No, he didn't like replicated food, did he? So yeah, I mean, it would show that there's a niche. He may not. Jeff, you think I'm trolling you, brother? You think me, Jeff, come on. Dude, this is me. This is the Lore Reloaded. The Lore Reloaded, my brand. Far be it for I am offended. Far be it for anyone to ever think that I, Lore Reloaded, would ever troll anyone. I don't troll people. I don't put up videos that I know will cost me not only money but subscribers simply for my own amusement. Good day, Jeff. I said good day. My animals are coming up here. They think I'm upset. Wasn't the line about we do not enslave animals? I assume that means they have gone free range. That is They have gone free range. So Jeff Franklin, just to bring you in on the joke, man. The entire Dominion War series, every time Wayoon comes up, I talk about him being a bit character that no one's ever going to remember. And then when he plays these characters, when he plays other characters, I talk about those characters being bit actors that no one's going to remember. It's an in-joke that has been going on for a year. I honestly, I don't mean this in a bad way, dude, but you've been around the channel so long, I figured you were in on that one. It's fine that you're not. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just thought I thought you were in on that joke. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while. Lore restuffed with cheesesteaks. Well, I got to keep this manly physique. Happy New Year, Schneeflock. Could the Kelvin Timeline Federation win a fight against the 24th Century Federation? No, I don't think the weapons are constant. Well, I can put that up there though. Hold on. Kelvin Federation versus. So, a lot of people don't like the Kelvin timeline or Kelvin universe. Honestly, I like it because they didn't lie. It's just, Wayoons are food. In fact, they would use Wayoons for food. When Cardassia was blockaded, they used it for food. What was I talking about? So the one thing I like about the Kelvin timeline too is how Starfleet dramatically changes. Starfleet, interestingly, becomes very militarized. And so the fun part of that is to see how even one event can drastically change the timeline. I thought that was a really fun way of doing it. I guess Catch or Sell White is people. That's true. We need that meme too. I need to put that on shirt. Catch or Sell White is people. I hate the Kelvin timeline. Take 50 years of canon and just throw it aside. Yep, this doesn't matter. Don't need it anymore. See, you hating the multiverse probably is big because it's not. It's actually it's in continuity to do that. When you look at what was it, TNG's? I think it's timelines or parallel. TNG parallel, I think, is what it was. There's Star Trek since TNG parallel shows that there's hypertime. And hypertime, I think I've discussed this before. What hypertime is basically anything that can happen will happen. For instance, in hypertime, in this timeline, my cat jumped up or my editor jumped up and laid down on the back of the chair, like he does. In another timeline, he jumped up and mauled my face and killed me for your amusement. In another timeline, he jumped on my face, mauled me, and took over and became the Lore Reloaded. So in hypertime, anything that can happen will happen. So the Kelvin universe is actually within continuity because it's just a part of the timeline. Shut the F up, continuity, kitty. So I just look at it as a different take, kind of like the Battlestar Galactica reimagined. And when you do that, it doesn't bother me. I think that it is. I think it's interesting to see Starfleet become militarized because of a single event. I think we've talked about that. Well, I am here for your amusement, Josef Petrik. That's why I'm here. I'm amusing you, good sir. As others are demanded to amuse me. Riker says no, we won't go back. I don't get it. I don't get the joke. A cat can easily kill a 1 HD commoner. That's true. In another timeline, you got a Philly cheesesteak. I did. I got a Philly cheesesteak from Sonic because I know you're listening to me, beautiful. I know you're listening to me, and I should have my Philly cheesesteak from Sonic. That's all I'm saying. Just bring me my Philly cheesesteak. Anyway, I'm only here to watch the cat eat your face. I have to admit, that would be probably pretty good views. I would say that would be good for my channel, would be for the cat to maul me to death. A lot of people would watch that, I think. Though you'd probably have several channels stealing it and then putting it up there and not giving it to my channel, of course, because why would they? And in another timeline, I got 2 cheesesteaks. Oh, man, now we dream. 2 Philly cheesesteaks and a Route 44 Diet Coke, as well as a Route 44 water with blue coconut in it, because both of those are delicious. One is better than the other for you physically. So, by the way, guys, let me know how you're liking this whole being doing a live stream and just staying on and talking with you guys. If you want to see more of this, let me know your thoughts. It is a great way to end the stream. Where were the time agents when Nero changed time? So I think that's always an interesting question. And I wonder if they didn't do anything because of the stark change. Like, it's still the original continuity still stayed. So it didn't just change the entire timeline. It created another it didn't change their timeline. It just created another one. And I wonder if they didn't get involved because of that. In another timeline, you are the cheesesteak. I'm the cheesesteak. And the person I contacted, we'll call her Kinder Cat, is eating meat. I like 2 a week long format chats. I like the 2 a week. Yeah, well, here's the thing, Tick. As long as I can continue to feed my kids, that's what I'll do. Because I think that you get better videos as well. I will have I better have it, then I'm going to keep you to that, beautiful. I better have my cheesesteak at 11:45, yo. Live streams for life. Faux life, yo. I hypothesize that there are multiple forms of time travel in Trek. There are closed time loops, which the time agents do not get involved in. I don't hate that theory. What's going on, Nathan? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing good today too, sir. I don't hate that timeline. I don't hate that idea where there are closed timelines, like fixed points, like from Doctor Who. Fixed points. I don't hate that. There's a timeline where cheesesteaks were not... There is no timeline where cheesesteaks were not invented. It's the one thing that can't happen. Then there are profit-induced temporal changes, which the time agents are unable to affect. Well, here's my thing about that at Christor. I have always said, and I do think, that the time agents are very focused on keeping the Federation the way they want the Federation to be. I honestly think they may be an offshoot of Section 31. They only get involved if it will irrevocably hurt the Federation. They preserve Starfleet and the Federation over the timeline. And since technically, in the end, the Prophets are moving towards a stronger, more powerful, basically Alpha Quadrant owning Federation, I don't see why they'd get in the way of that. Time agent theories. Time agents like some changes, or some changes get resolved without their help and they don't get involved. Yeah, that's what I say. Cheesesteaks are a fixed point in time. They are a fixed point in time. That's just true. So let me ask this. Is my Philly cheesesteak going to be delivered by somebody that I would be extremely happy to see? That's the question we have to ask. Will the Philly cheesesteak be someone I'm thrilled to see? The time agent said in DS9, Kirk was the most prolific time traveler. There weren't were there time agents in DS9? I don't think there were. The JJ movies are just another fork in the road while the main timeline continues. I agree, Jacob Clark. That's why I don't have an issue with it. If you don't like the Kelvin timeline, then I understand. I just don't like it. I love your long streams, but why are people so serious? Maybe it's just because I'm a socialist, fueled by maple syrup, living in American protectorate. I understand. Oh my God. I wish I could pin that. Oh, that's so... Hold on. That's so good that made me cough. Oh my God. Hold on. Where'd it go? There it is. I think that comment may have killed me. Oh man. Let's go on with my Twitter. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I don't want to die. All right. Oh, yeah. All right. Drago and I just tweeted that. Because That is wonderful. That is all that is good in the world. Oh God. I think you get the steak and then the Daniel shows up and takes it away. That would be my life. Oh, okay. Whew. Better. Trials and tribulations. Okay, so we see time agents, and they say Kirk was the most prolific. I could see that. Yeah, I guess. I don't remember that, but I could see that. I think the time agents are the bad guys. I mean, in some instances, I would agree they are the bad guys. I completely think that. Buttons. Buttons. What's going on, Mr. Love Portnoy? Hope you're doing well today. Theory: Janeway changing history at the end of Voyager erased the time agents from the future. I don't think so, but it's possible. I think Janeway is one of the most prolific villains ever. Does the time F up change explain why the radio waves have range limited to feet in the latest Kelvin movie? I don't even know what that means, buddy. I got a message. So yeah, I am actually having a thing at 11:45. I think I am in love, good gents. I think I found the one. Does the time F up change explain why the radio waves have range limited to feet? I don't know. Probably. Thanks, and same to you, good sir. Christopher Lloyd in Search for Spock said it best. You will tell the secrets of the cheesesteak torpedo. Legit question. Where are the Mormons in Star Trek? Ahem, the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They don't like being called Mormons anymore. Like all religions, it was destroyed after the original series. So into the next generation, they no longer exist because religion doesn't exist. Most Terrans, as they call themselves, are atheists. Janeway is the second best captain right after Logan. That's true. Yeah, maybe her definition of cheesesteak is different from mine, which I'd be okay with. I'm just saying. I would be okay with that. Insane Way is a great anti-hero, if not outright bad. Here's the problem with Janeway. She can be written so exceptionally well. So insanely well that I think that when she's written badly, the writing is just so much more stark in contrast. You know, it's just it's unfortunate because when she's written, it's either really good or really bad, and the lights in the bad way that she's written is just crazy. I don't know. Take this advice from another divorcee. Be careful, don't rush, and make sure you're healed before committing. Do what's right for both of you and her. So are you saying, Rock Solid Productions, that I probably shouldn't go ahead and buy her the plane that I have? Because I already got it on order and it's coming. I've got rid of all of my life savings in order to purchase this vehicle that she can't even use. Are you trying to tell me that's a bad idea? Being born yesterday, I think. Don't be in a hurry to put your cheesesteak in a bun if it doesn't belong. It's the right bun for me, man. Don't worry. I'm giving you a hard time. I appreciate you saying that, Rock Solid. And I agree. I think that things should be taken as organically, and that rushing in is not a good idea. I'm giving you a hard time. But trust me, Cindercat's one of the good ones. She's one of the best people. So, but I'm not getting married anytime soon, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to be thinking about that now. She's listening, so she's going to be thinking about that. Every time we see a Philly cheesesteak, we're going to think about sex. How did the religions die out? Doesn't suppressing religion tend to make them more resilient? Well, Sneeflock, moving on to something a little less cringy, from my point, not Rock Solid's. I don't know that they suppressed them. Religion completely and utterly died out because there's not a use for it. And I think the way that I would explain it, there's a couple ways. First off, Starfleet and the Federation interacted with so many people that have all of the powers that you would expect a god to have, that the concept of a god almost became meaningless. And kind of pointed out, um, uh, kind of pointed out the I gotta stop reading Rock Solid. Kind of pointed out how even if there is a god, there's no way to tell who the actual god is. Um, Additionally, there's this theory that works when you break it down. The less people have to rely on earthly goods, or the more rich or wealthier or more taken care of a nation or a person becomes, the less religious they are. That's just the way humanity works. If you look at, if you look in the states, states that are wealthier have less belief in a god than states that aren't. And generally, you can see that across the world. There are outliers, but generally. So I think they're going from two different parts. First, you would see all of these people that act to be gods. And then the next thing you would see is all the all of the wealth and the ability to not need anything would make you not want to look for a god. That doesn't mean a god. So let me go ahead and give this disclaimer. That doesn't mean a god doesn't exist. That doesn't mean that it disproves anything. Blah 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 blah. If you're religious and you're very very triggered by what I just said, it doesn't disprove a god. It just shows how human nature works and how logically people would come to be non-believers. You just dropped the L word. That's big. I had to go through divorce care 2 times. It really made me a difference for me, and I'm glad you appreciate the analogy. Rock Solid, I appreciate it, brother. I really do, but I also just went off on someone. I also just tried to talk someone into believing that I couldn't see who was an actor that you'd have to be blind not to see. And I've been divorced for quite a while, my friend, so I'm not new. But what does God need with a starship? Indeed, what does God need with a starship, my good friend? There are religious references in TNG. Yes, a lot of people. Just because there are religious references doesn't mean that religion is necessarily gone. I am atheist and have religion. I talk about God's green earth all the time. There are continuity gaffes, but overall, it is beyond clear that religion has been annihilated. That the good guys don't believe in religion. That there is no God. Picard is bigoted to the nines on that. I think he's a bad atheist when it comes to that. So I'm not going to get into this debate with you, but I promise there is ample evidence that religion is completely and utterly gone. Definitely from the Terrans, most likely from the Starfleet. I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that that's the way it is. And any instance you can bring up for me of like a reference, like they had a Buddhist festival, I think you could argue that they're still doing the traditions and don't believe in it. But anything that shows religion like at a meta-analysis or for the whole is a continuity gaffe, because everything tells us. It's kind of like how they work with shields. Sometimes you can beam through them, sometimes you can't in the original series. What classes of ship would you add to the Klingon fleet if you were in charge? I mean, I'm a huge Vorta and Negvar fan. I like those designs. Hey, I don't. So, Mislav's Portnov's his last comment, I don't hate. I think it'd have been okay. I'm not upset that it got hidden, but just so you know, I think that's all right in my opinion for moderators. Shields, yeah, I hate you, Rock Solid Productions. You're just trying to make it up because you wanted to get all deep with me on a public one that she's watching, by the way. You wanted to get all deep with me, which I appreciate. I know you're looking out for me, man, but I'm not new, and I'm taking my time, I promise. But she is awesome, and I'm probably gonna try to marry her. But anyway, then whatever. I say Shields wrong. Yes, let's keep mocking the guy who doesn't. Let's keep mocking the Southern accent that prevents him from saying things like Shields, Fields, Will, kill. I mean, I can't say things accurately. Yes, let's mock me. Let's do it. Let's have fun with that. What's going on, Sailor? Yeah, I'm not mad, old fire, so don't take that wrong, buddy. I'm just saying, just for me. I mean, if you think it's wrong, you can let me know. We can talk about it, old fire, if you think that it's too spicy. TNG era Enterprise had no chapel. They didn't. Not only did they have no chapel, they hated. Not only did they have no chapel, they absolutely hated religion. Picard was so staunchly against it, and it was mocked. There's also a podcast called TGIM. Why did this become the atheist discussion place? Say naked. Naked. I think I said naked, all right. I used to say track. I had to force myself to say trek. Dude, I made the previous comment, and I'm an atheist being from one of the rare full-on atheist countries on Earth, so that was not my point. I don't know. What were you talking about, Teppo? I'm confused. Did I take something wrong? I mean, it's quite possible I took something wrong. There are religious... Oh, I get you. Well, and here's my thing, Teppo. It's possible that there are religious references, but people get so upset. And I'm sorry if I got triggered there. People get so upset. I live in Tennessee. I've lived in Tennessee basically my whole life. People get so upset when I say that. They get so unbelievably triggered. So that's why I had the response I did to you. So I apologize. Talk to you later, Jacob. Hey, Jacob, if you're still here, let me know. Jacob, stay for a second. If you're still here. Are you the Jacob that's on my Facebook? Are you who I think you are? If you're still here. TOS had a chapel and a nurse chapel. Yep, I mean, they love chapels. They hated religion until they had to use grand cosmic plan to justify letting an entire planet be destroyed. Yeah, that's why I really dislike Picard in that way. You know? Picard was the worst kind of atheist, and they tried to make him like the pinnacle. He was not only a bigoted against religion, hated it so much, but he made something a religion for himself. He was the literal parody of what you see some of these evangelists saying. You know, you have a God-sized hole in your heart. And he denied religion because he hated God, but he believed in the Prime Directive. He just wanted to believe what he wanted. He was badly written when it comes to that. When the O'Briens got married, there were Shinto references at the service. Sure. And during Christmas, I have a Christmas tree, and I sang Mary Did You Know in the car with my children. So, absolutely understood. I am from Scandinavia, and over here, a tiny minority ever bring up religion as... Oh, man. I'm in the United States. Oh, geez. It took me a long time to even... I didn't deny it, but just to be open about it, because it's such a headache. It is such a headache over here. Welcome back, Eric. TOS had a chapel and a nurse chapel, not TOS. Yeah, see, I can't say TOS correctly. Oh, you want me to say TOS? No, I'm not going to do that. I think I would add a ship class around destroyer size, but with cruiser weight weapons. Maybe have it look like a bird of prey or a D7, but with aft weapons. Yeah, the Empire generally is big on Alpha Strikes. I could see that. I like the design. You know what I really liked? And they designed it this way, but they never explained it in canon, so it can't... You can't ever really use it in Alpha Canon. But the original intent of the Vorcha and the Negvar was... it was designed by Starfleet engineers helping out the Klingons. Which is why the Vorcha and the Negvar look so much similar to Starfleet designs. Eric is starting to feel uncomfortable. Well, you know, welcome to my life, man. Welcome to an atheist's life in the 80s, buddy. Not my intent to make you feel uncomfortable, but if you are uncomfortable, you can let us know why. You're welcome to give your opinion. Or if you don't like what I'm talking about, you can let me know, but there is a good chance that I will continue talking about it, and maybe, you know, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but if you don't like the topic right now, come back in a little bit. And I'll probably be on something else, most definitively. So I don't mean that in a bad way, but if you want to engage in it or you don't want to deal with it, I understand if you can't watch right now. Vulcan Kachas are souls like transform sparks are. Yeah, people try to say Kachas are souls or try to use that religion thing, but I think Janeway described it best when she talked about how everything has a scientific explanation. So I think that I don't know that that fits. Is it just me, or is Starfleet irrationally afraid of using their computers? They have almost no computer security, are completely adverse. I actually have a video on this where Starfleet is kind of dystopian in that they fear AI. Not only do they not have the computers automated with everything, you have Riker in an episode talk about how he doesn't want the computer to take over. He's scared of them working. It's an intriguing thing when you look at it. They don't like AI. It's almost a 40s a Warhammer type disdain for it. About it, though, just a heads up, I'm also kind of done with the hate to Christian. Oh, Eric, you and I would not agree on that topic. You're coming off that you're uncomfortable with it, and you don't like it. I respect your opinion, and we'll just leave it at that. But I'm going to be open and talk about what I believe. I don't think I have at any point been disrespectful to religion. As someone who was in a religion for nearly 30 years of his life, I understand how and why that works. But I think that's where we're going to leave. Christmas, pagan celebration of the winter solstice, so having a decorated plant in your house is okay. It's always okay. Starfleet fears AI because of control. Disco is canon. I think you could tie that. I really do. I don't hate that explanation. I wish the fact that there aren't references is a problem for me, but I don't know. Eric, do you live in somewhere not the United? Do you live in Saudi Arabia? Or I always wondered about the delivering of repros personally and on pads. Okay, the repros. What are the repros? I always wondered about delivering of reprots. I don't know what that's talking about. Wherever the Klingons' obsession. Time to set this active directory. What's the active directory server? Netherlands. Ah. Is Netherlands very anti-religious? I didn't know that. I guess I could see that. Are the Netherlands? Let's see. Let me see. Roughly 60% of the population was still, in the 19th century. Well, this is showing, I don't know. This is showing that in the Netherlands are religious. I don't know. Okay. I can't speak to the Netherlands. I can speak to the United States. System admin. Gotcha. Even Data, who is a living computer, is unable to communicate wirelessly with any technology without using voice commands. Dude shouldn't need to use. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. We know that's for the audience and stuff like that. I don't know. I think with control, I think you really can make why the AI is hated. I actually did a video too on how the original series is actually dystopian, how they had to regress all the technology after the war and control and everything. Anyone remember the M5 disaster? So there is even a TOS explanation. Yeah, I mean, every time they use AI, it just goes bad. That's just the way it works. The TOS episode, Ultimate Computer Sets the Tone. Yeah, we've discussed that. Even the Doctor on Voyager, who is part of the computer, can't interface with the computer without physical action or voice command. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never really thought about that. Eric, I would say in the United States, I think that's changing. I think it's becoming the opposite, which I don't like. But in the United States, being religious has always just been a part of the culture. And so while there are Americans who believe that they're being attacked for their religion, which is silly, um, it's not really all that bad in the United States. Though again, I'll say I think that is changing around. I think non-religious are starting to take over and becoming that of which they hate, which is bad. I don't like that. But still, at least when it comes to that, you'd probably have a better time in the U.S. then, especially the South. I can totally see humanity traveling the stars and encountering civilizations that never invented the concept of religion, or for YouTube algo, we say the R word. Oh yeah, I don't know how it is. Shutting down M5 was killing a something or other. It was killing a sentient being who wished to continue existing. Yeah, but I mean, if Data was killing hundreds to thousands of people, I think that could kind of be justified. Every time you say TOS when referring to the original series, I die a little inside. When I say TOS, all right, guys, I think we are going to end it for a little while. I got a couple of things I need to do. You know, the thing is, before I get off, I think the thing is, when it comes to Control, I'm not sure Star Trek Discovery did it well. Their writing has always been not to my taste generally. But I don't hate the idea of Control, and I think it's interesting to use Section 31, like being controlled by them could be intriguing. I know they pulled it from EU, not from EU. They pulled it from Beta Canon. A lot of people got upset about Control, but it was something that was in Beta Canon long before. It was just, I believe it happened post DS9. But anyway, so we're going to get off for a little bit. I'll probably come back at 2-ish. 2 p.m. CST at the latest, and do a couple more hours. Hope you guys are liking this long form. If you are, let me know. Eric, I'm intent. Don't worry, man. I got it on the books. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later today. And then tomorrow is my birthday, so I'll be having a video come up. Picard's top 10 waifus, because why wouldn't I do that? Duh.